I turned to Gregory. Or maybe he'll realize that a woman who cheats with you will cheat on you. Your choice. Gregory's confidence had completely evaporated. He looked young suddenly and scared. Good. I picked up my portfolio, leaving the scattered pages on the table and floor like evidence at a crime scene. Oh, one more thing. Those transaction attempts today? I reported them to the bank as suspicious activity. Because technically, Jennifer, you were attempting to spend money that was no longer in that account for purposes that violated our marriage vows. The bank has flags on your cards now. You might want to explain that to Gregory's bank when his cards start getting declined too. What the hell does that mean? Gregory demanded. It means I also contacted your employer, I said. Sent them a detailed report about your relationship with Jennifer, complete with timestamps showing when you were together during work hours. Pharmaceutical companies tend to frown on their reps sleeping with clients. Something about ethics violations and conflict of interest. His face went white. You can't. That's my job. Had to think about your job before you fucked my wife. I headed toward the lobby doors. Jennifer's voice stopped me. David, wait. Please, can we just talk about this? I turned back one last time. She looked smaller somehow, broken in a way I'd never seen. For just a moment, I felt the ghost of what I used to feel for her. Love, concern, the desire to protect. Then I remembered the 2:47 a.m. text messages. The lies. The casual cruelty of her calling me clueless. There's nothing left to talk about, Jennifer. I hope your weekend is everything you planned it to be. I walked out into the cool evening air and drove home. The next morning, I woke in my own bed, my bed now, I supposed, and made coffee in the silent house. No Jennifer humming in the shower. No pretending everything was fine. Just silence and the truth. My phone had 17 missed calls. 12 from Jennifer, 3 from Gregory, 2 from numbers I didn't recognize. I ignored them all and opened my laptop instead. There was an email from my lawyer. Divorce papers filed. Settlement terms documented. Evidence package received and secured. This is one of the cleanest cases I've ever seen. Should be finalized in 90 days. Another email from Marcus. Hey man, hope yesterday went according to plan. Just FYI, those banking alerts I set up, they also created a record of every transaction attempt. That's admissible in court. You're covered. And a final email. This one from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line read, Riverside Resort Incident Report. I opened it. Mr. Brennan. This email serves as notification that last night, local police were called to our establishment regarding a disturbance involving Mrs. Jennifer Brennan and Mr. Gregory Harrison. Hotel security footage shows an argument that became physical, resulting in property damage to the lobby and one of our guest suites. Per our policy, both individuals have been banned from our property and charged for damages totaling $3,741. Additionally, Mr. Harrison attempted to use multiple credit cards that were all declined, which has been reported to our corporate security division. We understand this is a sensitive personal matter. This email is for your records only. I read it twice, then a third time. They'd turned on each other. The perfect weekend in paradise had dissolved into a lobby argument bad enough for hotel security to call the police. Part of me felt satisfied. The rest just felt tired. My phone rang again. This time, I answered. David, please, just listen. Jennifer's voice was ragged, desperate. I am listening. I made a mistake. A horrible mistake. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can't. Don't say that. 15 years, David. 15 years of marriage. That has to count for something. It did, I said softly. It counted for everything. until you decided it counted for nothing. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. I know you are. You're sorry you got caught. Sorry that the money wasn't there. Sorry that your romantic weekend turned into a police incident. I paused. But you're not sorry you did it. Not really. Silence on the other end. The divorce papers will be served Monday, I continued. You'll want to get a lawyer, a good one, because I have documentation of everything, and I'm not feeling generous anymore. You're really going to do this? I already did it. Yesterday, when I walked out of that hotel, I stopped being your husband. The paperwork is just making it official. I don't know what to do. Her voice broke. I don't have anywhere to go. You should have thought about that before you booked the Riverside Resort. I hung up and blocked her number. The house was quiet again. Outside, neighbors were mowing lawns and washing cars, living their normal Saturday lives. For them, nothing had changed. For me, everything had. I made breakfast, checked my accounts, all secure, all accessible only to me, and sat down to plan my next steps. Single life, new routines, a future I hadn't planned, but also wasn't afraid of. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Marcus. Drink tonight. You did good, man. You handled it right. I typed back, thanks, and yes to drinks. I'm buying. I looked around the house, my house now. It would need some changes. Fresh paint, maybe. New furniture. Remove the traces of a marriage that had died 6 weeks ago, even if I'd only buried it yesterday. But first, coffee, and silence, and the strange, sad peace that comes from doing the hard right thing instead of the easy wrong one. Outside, the sun climbed higher. A new day. A new life. I was ready for it. 3 months later. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday. Clean, quick, exactly as my lawyer had promised. Jennifer signed everything without contest. She'd seen the evidence, knew she had no ground to stand on. I heard through mutual friends that she and Gregory had lasted another 3 weeks before imploding. He'd lost his job. She'd moved back in with her parents. They blamed each other for everything. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel anything really, just closure. The house sold fast. Too many memories. I moved into a downtown condo with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the city lights. Started dating again. Nothing serious yet. Just remembering what it felt like to trust someone. Slowly, carefully. And every night, before bed, I looked at my bank accounts, healthy, secure, solely mine, and remembered the lesson I'd learned. Sometimes the best revenge isn't dramatic. Sometimes it's just taking back control of your own life and walking away while you still can. Jennifer had wanted passion and excitement. She'd gotten it for a weekend. I'd wanted peace and truth. I'd gotten that forever. Fair trade. I wasn't supposed to see it. The soft blue glow of Jennifer's phone had illuminated our bedroom ceiling, casting dancing shadows across the crown molding we'd picked out together 3 years ago. She'd been in the bathroom for 20 minutes, and I'd been lying there in the dark, pretending to sleep, watching that ceiling like it held answers. When she finally emerged, she moved with the careful deliberation of someone trying not to wake a sleeping spouse. The mattress barely shifted as she slid back under the covers. Her breathing was too controlled, too measured. She was awake, alert, waiting for something. I'd been waiting too, just not for the same thing. It started 6 weeks earlier with small things. A new password on her laptop, deleted browser history, lunch meetings that ran long and dinner meetings that started early. Jennifer worked in pharmaceutical sales, a job with irregular hours, client dinners, weekend conferences. The perfect cover, really. But it was the phone that gave her away. Not what was on it, but how she held it. Angled away from me. Screen darkened the moment I entered a room. The way her thumb would hover over the power button, ready to black it out at a moment's notice. I'm not a suspicious man by nature. 15 years of marriage had taught me to trust, to give the benefit of doubt. But I'm also not a fool. When your wife of 15 years suddenly develops a passcode you don't know and starts showering before bed instead of in the morning, you notice. So I watched, and I waited, and I planned. The first thing I did was document everything. Screenshots of our joint account statements, saved to an encrypted cloud folder she didn't know existed. Every late-night work emergency, every unexplained charge at restaurants we'd never been to together, every Saturday afternoon sales conference, all of it logged with timestamps and locations. The second thing I did was visit Marcus Chen, my college roommate, who now ran a boutique cybersecurity firm. I need to know, I told him over coffee, at a place far from our neighborhood. But I need to know legally. Marcus had looked at me with a mixture of pity and professional interest. You sure you want this, David? Sometimes ignorance is. I'm sure. He'd nodded slowly. Joint accounts are fair game. Legally, you have every right to monitor transactions, set up alerts, make changes. It's your money too. That's when the plan truly began to form. I didn't confront Jennifer. I didn't rage or accuse or demand answers to questions I already knew. Instead, I became a ghost in my own marriage, present but unseen, watching from the shadows of our suburban life. And I started moving money. Not all of it. That would be too obvious. But over the course of 3 weeks, I systematically redirected funds from our joint accounts into a new personal account Jennifer didn't know existed. I left enough in the joint account to cover normal expenses to avoid suspicion. But the real money, the savings, the investment dividends, the bonus I'd just received, all of it flowed into an account at a different bank, with different credentials, protected by security measures Marcus had helped me implement. Then I set up the alerts. Every transaction attempt on the joint account would trigger a notification to my phone. Every card swipe, every ATM withdrawal, every online purchase. I would know instantly, anywhere, anytime. And I set up something else too. Something Marcus had been hesitant about, until I explained exactly why I needed it. You're sure about this? He'd asked, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. Completely sure. 3 days ago, Jennifer had been unusually cheerful at breakfast. She'd hummed while making coffee, kissed my cheek with what felt like genuine affection, and mentioned something about a girls' weekend coming up. Susan and Melissa want to do a spa thing in Napa, she'd said, not meeting my eyes. Friday through Sunday. You don't mind, do you? I'd smiled over my toast. Of course not. You deserve it. She'd beamed. Actual joy in her expression. Because she thought I was buying it. That night, I'd checked the joint account and found what I'd been expecting, a pending hotel reservation, but not at a spa in Napa. At the Riverside Resort, a luxury hotel 3 hours north known for its private bungalows and couples packages. The reservation was for 2 guests, for this coming weekend. I'd felt something cold settle in my chest. Not quite anger, not quite pain. Something more like the calm that comes before a storm. Now, lying in the pre-dawn darkness with Jennifer's careful breathing beside me, I reviewed my preparations one final time. Everything was ready. The accounts were separated. The alerts were active. The evidence was compiled and backed up in 3 separate locations. And the surveillance was in place. Marcus had been right to hesitate about that part, but I'd insisted. I need to know everything, I'd told him. I need proof that can't be denied. So he'd provided it. A small tracking device, no bigger than a quarter, that I'd placed in Jennifer's car. GPS tracking, completely legal on a vehicle I co-owned. The feed went to an app on my phone, hidden in a folder labeled Golf Scores. But that wasn't all. I'd also set up a small camera in our garage, angled to capture Jennifer loading luggage into her car. Again, legal. It was my property, my garage. Just insurance, Marcus had called it. Visual confirmation of everything I already knew. Friday arrived with unseasonable warmth. Jennifer was practically vibrating with nervous energy as she packed her suitcase. I watched from the doorway of our bedroom, coffee in hand, playing the role of supportive husband one last time. "You sure you have everything?" I asked. She jumped slightly, hadn't heard me approach. "Jesus, David, you startled me." "Sorry, I wasn't. Just want to make sure you have a good trip." Her smile was guilty but genuine. "I'm sure. Thanks, honey." Honey. When was the last time she'd called me that and meant it? I left for work at my usual time, but I didn't go to the office. Instead, I drove to a coffee shop with good Wi-Fi and settled in at a corner table with my laptop and phone. The tracking app showed Jennifer's car still in our driveway. At 10:37 a.m., it began to move. I watched the blue dot on my screen navigate through our neighborhood, onto the highway heading north. Not toward Napa, toward the Riverside Resort. At 11:15 a.m., she made a stop. The dot remained stationary for 6 minutes at an address I recognized, 2847 Maple Street, Gregory Harrison's apartment. Gregory Harrison, 34 years old, divorced, worked as a pharmaceutical rep for one of Jennifer's biggest clients. I'd met him twice at company functions. Charming smile, easy laugh, the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. The blue dot started moving again, this time with 2 people in the car. My wife and her lover heading off for their romantic weekend getaway. I ordered another coffee and waited. They arrived at the Riverside Resort at 1:43 p.m. I watched the dots settle in the parking lot. Imagined them checking in with stolen glances and secret smiles, thinking they'd gotten away with it. My phone buzzed with an alert from the garage camera. I pulled up the feed and scrolled back to this morning. There was Jennifer, loading her suitcase. Nothing unusual there. But then came a second trip from the house, this time carrying a smaller bag. Designer luggage I didn't recognize. And she was wearing something I'd never seen before. A red dress that definitely wasn't spa weekend attire. I saved the footage and added it to my evidence folder. The afternoon passed slowly. I worked on my laptop, responding to emails, joining a video conference call, maintaining the fiction of normalcy. The tracking app showed Jennifer's car hadn't moved from the resort. At 4:32 p.m., the first transaction attempt came through. My phone lit up with an alert. ATM withdrawal attempt, $800, declined. I felt my pulse quicken. This was it. Another alert, 30 seconds later. ATM withdrawal attempt, $500, declined. Then another. Debit card purchase, $347.92. Riverside Resort, restaurant, declined. I could picture it. The awkward moment at the ATM, the first hint that something was wrong. Gregory probably suggesting they try a different amount. Then the creeping panic as the card was declined again. The humiliation at the restaurant, Jennifer's card rejected in front of waitstaff and other diners. My phone rang. Jennifer. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. And again. 6 times in 10 minutes. The texts started arriving. David, something's wrong with the bank account. Please call me. It's urgent. The cards aren't working. I can't access any money. David, please. I sipped my coffee and didn't respond. At 5:47 p.m., a new alert. Credit card purchase, attempt, $1,247. Riverside Resort front disk, declined. They were trying to pay for the room, probably being told they'd have to leave if they couldn't provide payment. More texts from Jennifer. I'm going to call the bank. They're saying all our accounts are frozen? What's happening? Where are you? At 6:15 p.m., I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered. Mr. Brennan, this is Amanda Chen from First National Bank. We're showing some unusual activity on your accounts and wanted to verify. Yes, I said calmly. That's correct. My wife is attempting to access a joint account that I've recently modified. Everything is in order from my end. A pause. I see. So you're aware of the transaction attempts? Completely aware. They should all be declined. Understood. Just to confirm, you're the primary account holder? I am, and I've moved the majority of funds to a personal account. Is there a problem? No, sir, no problem. Just following up on the fraud alerts. We'll make a note in the system. Thank you. I hung up and watched my phone buzz with another incoming call from Jennifer. Declined. The sun was setting when I finally drove north. Not to the Riverside Resort, not yet. First, I stopped at a FedEx office and printed everything. Every bank statement, every text message screenshot, every GPS log showing Jennifer's car at Gregory's apartment, every hotel reservation, every suspicious charge, every piece of evidence I'd carefully compiled over the past 6 weeks. I put it all in a leather portfolio and drove to the resort. They were in the lobby when I arrived. Jennifer saw me first, her face cycling through relief, confusion, and then something like fear as I approached. Gregory stood beside her, still wearing the casual confidence of someone who thought he was in control of the situation. David, thank God, Jennifer started. Something crazy is happening with the bank and... Nothing's happening with the bank, I said quietly. Everything is exactly as I planned it. The lobby had gone silent. Other guests were pretending not to watch, while absolutely watching. Jennifer's face paled. What are you talking about? I held up the portfolio. How long, Jennifer? How long have you been fucking him? Gregory stepped forward, hands up. Hey man, I think there's been a misunder. Shut up, I said, still calm. I'm not talking to you yet. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. Real or performed, I couldn't tell anymore. David, please, let's not do this here. Here seems perfect. I opened the portfolio and pulled out the first page. March 17th. Lunch at Café Bordeaux. You told me you were meeting a client, but the receipt shows 2 entrees, a bottle of wine, and a shared dessert. I pulled out another page. March 24th. Your car was parked at 2847 Maple Street from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. You told me you were at a team training session. You've been tracking me? Her voice cracked. I've been documenting your betrayal. There's a difference. I continued pulling out pages, laying them on the reception desk like tarot cards predicting an inevitable future. GPS logs, restaurant receipts, hotel reservations, text message records I'd subpoenaed through my lawyer for our joint account statements. 6 weeks, I said. That's how long I've known. 6 weeks of watching you lie to my face. 6 weeks of planning for this exact moment. Gregory found his voice again. Look, we didn't mean for this to happen. Didn't mean for what to happen? I turned to him for the first time. Didn't mean to fuck my wife. Didn't mean to plan a romantic weekend getaway on my money. Or didn't mean to get caught. All of it. He had the decency to look ashamed. Barely. I pulled out my phone and opened the banking app. Here's what happened today. Every transaction you attempted was declined because I've moved all our money into an account you can't access, Jennifer. The joint account? It has exactly $327 in it. Enough to cover this month's utilities. That's it. Jennifer was crying now, mascara streaming down her face. You can't do that. That's our money. It was our money. Now it's my money. And legally, there's nothing you can do about it. I checked with 3 different lawyers. This is insane, Gregory said. You're trapping her here without money. That's abuse. I laughed. Actually laughed. Abuse? You're going to lecture me about abuse while you're checking into a couple's resort with my wife? I pulled out another page. According to this reservation, you were planning to pay for everything on our joint card. A 3-night stay in a luxury bungalow. Couples massage. Champagne dinner. All on my dime. I'll pay, Gregory said quickly. I'll cover everything. Will you? I pulled out my phone again, this time opening the camera roll. Because according to this email I found, yes, Jennifer, I have access to your old email account, the one you thought you deleted. You told him that you'd handle all the expenses. That he didn't need to worry about money because your clueless husband would never notice. Jennifer sat down hard on the lobby sofa. How long have you known? I told you, 6 weeks. And you let me. You just watched. I documented, I corrected. I built a case. Because unlike you, I don't do anything without thinking through the consequences. A hotel manager had appeared, hovering nervously at the edge of our conversation. Sir, if you're going to need to continue this discussion, we'd prefer you use a more private. We're done here, I said. I looked at Jennifer. I filed for divorce yesterday. You'll be served on Monday. The house is in my name. The car you drove here? Also mine. I've been generous in my settlement offer. You'll get what you're legally entitled to, and not a penny more. David, please. She reached for my arm. I stepped back. Don't touch me. We're past that now. What am I supposed to do? I don't have any money for a hotel, for gas to get home. I pulled out my wallet and dropped $300 on the coffee table. There, enough to get you home and figure out your next move. Assuming you're going home, maybe you'll stay here with Gregory. Maybe he'll step up and be the man you apparently wanted me to be.